From Washington, this is VOA News. The UN launches an appeal for Typhoon Haiyan victims. Iran offers more access to the UN's nuclear watchdog. I'm Ray Kouguell reporting from Washington. The United Nations is appealing for more than $300 million to provide life-saving aid to millions of victims suffering from Typhoon Haiyan during the next 6 months. The Philippines government estimates more than 11 million people in 9 regions are affected by the widespread damage caused by the strongest typhoon to ever make landfall. Lisa Schlein reports.
The World Food Program reports it plans to feed 2.5 million people during the next 6 months. But at the moment, it says distributing food to the needy is a logistical nightmare. It says roads are blocked and airports are destroyed. The UN Food Agency says it is working with the government to set up operational hubs and organize airlifts of essential supplies. The World Health Organization says the typhoon has left health facilities damaged or completely destroyed. The World Health Organization and other aid agencies say they are concerned at reports that waterborne diseases such as dysentery and diarrhea are already spreading. Lisa Schlein for VOA News, Geneva.
The U.S. Navy is speeding relief to the typhoon-shattered central Philippines with a giant aircraft carrier and supply ships to provide emergency aid to a population increasingly desperate for food and other basic necessities. The carrier, USS George Washington, and 4 other ships will arrive in the Leyte Gulf Wednesday with a combined capacity to produce millions of liters of drinking water a day. Officials initially said 10,000 people may have perished. However, Philippine President Benigno Aquino sounded a note of optimism Tuesday, saying the final toll could be significantly lower. Iranian officials say inspectors from the UN could be allowed inside Iran's new heavy water nuclear reactor within weeks. The spokesman for Iran's nuclear department says Tehran is willing to grant the UN International Atomic Energy Agency access to its Arak reactor before the next round of talks with the agency on December 11th. U.S. officials say 2 Americans who were kidnapped by pirates off the Nigerian coast last month are now free. The State Department, however, declined to provide any details on their release. Officials earlier identified the men as the captain and the chief engineer of a U.S.-flagged oil supply ship. The 2 men were kidnapped after pirates stormed the vessel off the Gulf of Guinea. A Congolese official is blaming neighboring Uganda for the breakdown of an expected peace agreement with M23 rebels, which both sides were due to sign at a ceremony Monday. Information Minister Lambert Mende says Uganda, which has mediated talks between the DRC and M23, was seemingly acting like a part of the conflict. Congo's long accused neighboring Rwanda and Uganda of supporting M23, an allegation both countries deny. The United Nations Human Rights Council is getting 14 new members. Some rights advocates are not happy. VOA's Margaret Bashir has more from UN headquarters in New York.
The UN General Assembly elected 14 new members by secret ballot for 3-year terms starting in January. Human Rights Watch Global Advocacy Director Peggy Hicks expressed doubts about the rights records of several of the winners.
This year, a number of some of the worst abusers have returned to the Council, unfortunately, including China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Cuba. And what that means, I think, is that the human rights defenders on the Council will really have their work cut out for them and are going to have to redouble their efforts to achieve real results in the coming year.
Advocacy group UN Watch said in a statement that the election of these countries deals a severe blow to the Human Rights Council's credibility and sends the message that politics trumps human rights. Margaret Bashir, VOA News, the United Nations.
The International Energy Agency says that by 2015, the United States will surpass Saudi Arabia and Russia. It's the world's biggest oil producer and is on track to become energy self-sufficient in 2 decades. But the Paris-based advisor to 28 energy-consuming nations says the U.S. position as the top world oil producer will end by the mid-2020s as resources diminish at the fields now being tapped in the mid-country states of North Dakota and Texas. The IEA says Middle East countries will then provide most of the increase in the global oil supply. I'm Ray Kouguell, VOA News. Details on these and other stories on our website at voanews.com.